Leader of Washington State's new LGBTQ commission says he has 3 main goals. This is dated October 26th, 2019, and from the Seattle Times. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Clown World. The state has a new LGBTQ commission, and former Tacoma Rainbow Center director Manny Santiago has been named its executive director. Santiago starts his job Monday. The commission will identify the needs of and advocate for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer communities. Like other state commissions, Santiago's office will collect information to advise policymakers from the legislature to the governor. It feels exciting, Santiago said of his role. As a gay man of Latino heritage, I feel a responsibility to all of my communities. Santiago was raised in Puerto Rico and is an ordained minister. The commission was created by the legislature and signed into law by Governor Jay Inslee in April of 2019. The commission has 15 volunteer members appointed by the governor and 4 members from the legislature. Education, Santiago said, is his goal for both government and the LGBTQ community. Wonder where they found the money to create this little agency. There is a need to educate our community about what our rights are, he said. Government and businesses need to know those rights as well, he said. All right. The commission can remind agencies of the rights people have, he said. You cannot discriminate against them because of their sexual orientation or gender identity or gender identify. LGBTQ residents are a protected class in Washington. In Oregon, it's the spotted owl, but anyway, that isn't the case in some other states, including neighboring Idaho. Idaho, I love you. Competency training, which helps institutions create inclusive, safe, and welcoming environments for LGBTQ people, will be left to local grassroots organizations such as the Rainbow Center, which provides advocacy services, serves as a drop-in resource center, puts on Tacoma's annual Pride Festival, and provides cultural competency education on private and public groups. The commission as a whole will present concerns to the governor and the legislature, like the governor is the king, huh? Santiago said he has 3 main goals for the commission. First, he wants to complete an assessment of laws and other protections for LGBTQ workers and residents in Washington. Second, Santiago's office will compile a list of LGBTQ resources such as helplines and support groups through the state to serve as a place where people throughout Washington can go to find information in their region, he said. We get calls from Yakima, Spokane, and Vancouver, Washington, that's my town, from LGBTQ people looking for something like the Rainbow Center in their communities, he said. So those are the targets for this group, the LGBTQJu group. His third goal will be to create a snapshot of the LGBTQJu population, a mini census of the community, so we know where our community is and what resources they need, Santiago said. All right, so this is less than 1% of the population, and people, Washingtonians, people who pay taxes in the state of Washington are funding this. And this is something the legislature passed. This wasn't something that was put up to a vote for we the people to approve or disapprove of. Washington ranks 5th or 6th in the nation for the percentage of LGBTQJu people within its population. According to various scholarly and legal sources, after whites, Latinos are second highest percentage of that population, Santiago said. Well, isn't that just fabulous? The LGBTQJu has their own commission and their government agency, and I don't see anything going sideways with this one. This guy here, he is Manny Santiago. He used to be a director of some rainbow whatever. All right, let's look and see what other states have this. Let's see here. We have Pennsylvania. I don't have a date. Oh, here we go. Pennsylvania Commission on LGBTQJu Affairs is the first of its kind in the nation. It was established by an executive order from Governor Tom Wolf in August of 2018. Sorry, Pennsylvanians. Its goal is to advise the governor and state agencies regarding policies, programs, and legislation that impact LGBTQ communities and serve as a resourceful intermediary between LGBTQ communities and state government. Sounds like they're reporting to their king. Our governors now kings of states, and states are countries. Is this the way that this works? Is this how the blue bloods get into power? You know, they make us think that we, the people, have rights or whatever, and then we just have one big king who's the president, and then a bunch of mini kings. So we got 50 mini kings in the United States. That's what it's sounding like. Let's see here. There's an LGBTQJu commission in New York. Walla Walla agency head appointed to state LGBTQ commission. January 3rd, 2020. Let's look and see if this one's any good. Walla Walla agency head appointed to state LGBTQJu commission. This was January 3rd, 2020. Maroon. What does this maroon mean? Eastern Washington is very different than the west side of the state, and Everett Maroon plans to make sure officials recognize that for the LGBTQ residents living in it and compensate for it as much as possible, he said. Maroon, executive director of Blue Mountain Heart to Heart, local civil rights advocate and author, has been appointed to Washington State's new LGBTQ commission. The commission was passed into law last spring and signed by Governor Jay Inslee in May. Its role is to identify the needs of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community members and advocate for those to state lawmakers, Maroon said. He was asked to be one of 15 commission board members. His inaugural term expires in June, but Maroon said he expects to be reappointed. The LGBTQ Commission has more members than most commissions in the state because less than 1% of the population is significant. In part because the group it represents are diverse, Maroon pointed out. Diversity is our strength, you guys. Manny Santiago of Tacoma has been named its executive director. Other executive board members have yet to be elected. Santiago told the Tacoma News Tribune, like other state commissions, his office will collect information to advise policymakers from the legislature to the governor. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I mean, I got what it said, but why? Education, Santiago said, is his goal for both government and the LGBTQ community. The commission can remind agencies of the rights people have, he said. You cannot discriminate against them because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Joining this effort in its infancy is exciting, Maroon said. I'd like to help get this board started on the right foot. There are 3 commissioners appointed from Eastern Washington. Now, Eastern Washington is very Republican. It's Republican. And if you know about any states in the United States, generally the large cities are full of libshits and foreigners, and then outside of the cities, that's where normal people live. Let's see here. There are 3 commissioners appointed from Eastern Washington, not enough to truly represent the LGBTQ populations of the eastern regions, Maroon said, and they will be charged with increasing the visibility of LGBTQ communities in legislative decisions, improving civil rights and societal acceptance in the state. Ooh, improving societal acceptance in the state. Oh, okay, so it means you're going to shove it down our throats. We want to continue to put Washington on this trajectory of equality for all citizens, he said. All right, communists. Adding he anticipates the first commission meeting to take place this month. A number of states have put similar boards into place, showing a marked increase in the past decade of government support of queer and trans people, Maroon said. The narrative of Eastern Washington that gets produced is that we're hostile, narrow-minded, not inclusive, and that's wrong, he said. People are inclusive, but resources are limited, as is true for nearly any group on this side of the mountains, Maroon explained. We have the Cascade Mountains that divide our state. Adding he sees his role on the commission as someone who can bring that reality to legislators. I want to be the person in the room who can help ensure the policies advocated by the commission will be effective and thoughtful for the 2/3 of the population not living in the I-5 corridor. All right, Internet friends, that's the damage for today. Thanks so much for listening. I look forward to your comments below.